Among all the contributions that the Nicholson Museum has made through its 150-year history, the most significant one is towards education. Thousands of undergraduate and school students come here every year to learn history and to learn archaeology. It has inspired the generations of the past and also is influencing the current generation. The Nicholson Museum has presented a range of resources for education, for university students, and for visitors of all ages and all levels.
But all around here, even with quite fairly brutal chisel marks, they've taken off this veil.
The Nicholson Museum is of great importance to the education at the University of Sydney. It provides students with opportunities to experience this object-based learning.
Every single tutorial, I extract material from the Nicholson Museum, various categories of it. I make them read a scholarly article to give them some background, I ask them a few questions on it, give them a little quiz, and then we work through all of the material. They get the chance to handle it all and to analyse it. I'll sometimes bring down catalogues to show them how they should, how you identify a Roman coin or how you identify a piece of Etruscan pottery.
Besides the university students, the Nicholson Museum also offers different educational programs for pre-service school teachers, for adults who are interested in art and history, and also for school students between kindergarten and year 12.
We have hands-on classes with our students where we actually put on gloves and then physically handle the objects to analyse them, to understand them. And when do you ever get an opportunity to pick up something that's 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 years old and to engage with it physically and visually as part of a connection with the ancient world?
So as part of my history course in high school, we came to the museum and we took a tour with our high school teacher and Dr. Craig Barker, who is an absolutely wonderful teacher. And I remember very clearly him taking me around the museum. And I remember I asked a very cheeky question. I asked him what the most expensive or valuable thing in the museum was. I don't think he was supposed to answer, but he did tell me.
I've taught at least 20,000 people who have come through the doors. But every single time there is still new questions and new observations that I've not thought about, which makes me a better archaeologist as well, because it teaches me to constantly reinterpret and rethink of questions that we can ask in material culture.
With the variety of educational programs, the Nicholson Museum has inspired generations of Australians.
I've been really lucky to have had a career in archaeology and investigating the ancient world. And I think my time spent as, part of a school excursion coming into the Nicholson Museum, and then as a student at university coming to the Nicholson Museum has really fundamentally shaped that career trajectory, and I'm very grateful for that.
And I've always loved the message we once got from a teacher who said that one of her students said, "I hated history until I came to the Nicholson Museum." And that's when we know that that passion and that excitement and the sheer wonderment of the material in the collection is really getting across.
Whether it's the Near East section or the Egypt section or some of the less well-known parts of the collection. Being involved with the Nicholson means that you get exposed to such a wide variety of fascinating topics. And I've enjoyed over the years not just furthering the particular interests that I have, but learning brand new things as well.
Historically, the greatest contribution of Nicholson Museum towards schools and undergrad education is the accessibility of the large-scale collections.
For school students in Sydney or even in regional New South Wales who have been learning about ancient Greek culture or Egyptian culture, here's an opportunity to actually come and see it up close and to see the artefacts that match what they've been learning in the classroom.
This year, the Nicholson Museum, along with the Department of Archaeology, has introduced a 3D project called New Eyes for Old Objects, reinforcing the idea of accessibility.
And the inspiration was really to utilise the amazing collection that we have in the Nicholson Museum, all of the wonderful objects, and 3D scan them so that students would have an option to get much closer to the artefacts and be able to access and utilise them on their own time as well.
It's kind of good for everybody, and we can make models, we can issue them to the students, they can turn them this way and that way, up and down, they can measure them, we can attach information to various bits, so they click on something and we tell them about an aspect, or we can attach to various bits of the object a question.
The process of creating a 3D model is simple. After the object being selected from Nicholson Museum's collection, it will be taken into a special lighting environment and placed into a turntable to do the so-called 3D photogrammetry.
There's a little bit of work required from our end, mostly when we're dealing with very complex objects like the Acheulean hand axe, which is a great example because they are very detailed. They have lots of small edges, so we need to make sure that objects have been matched up properly. Once those objects have been matched up, the program that we use creates a 3D model, and then we're just able to upload it online for our students to use.
The feedback has been extremely positive. All the students seem to really like it, and they could. I mean, one thing that we could and should do, I only became aware of this quite recently, we could give access to the original 3D files to the students, so they could 3D print the objects.